Hey everyone! Today I'll be discussing a research article that examined whether metabolic differences influence weight loss outcomes. This study compared the effects of a low-carbohydrate diet versus a low-fat diet on fat mass loss in African American women and looked at whether insulin sensitivity affected how participants responded. The main idea behind this article is that weight loss may not be a one-size-fits-all process. Individual factors such as insulin sensitivity may influence which dietary approach is most effective. This study is important because many weight loss recommendations use a general approach, even though individuals can respond differently to the same diet. Obesity continues to be a major public health concern because it increases the risk for diseases like type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. The researchers focused on African American women because this population experiences higher rates of obesity and related metabolic conditions. Since insulin plays an important role in glucose regulation and energy storage, the researchers wanted to determine whether insulin sensitivity could help predict which diet would lead to greater fat loss. The researchers hypothesized that women with lower insulin sensitivity would experience greater fat loss on a low-carbohydrate diet compared with a low-fat diet. They also examined whether changes in energy expenditure helped explain differences in fat loss. The study included 69 African American women with obesity who followed either a low-carbohydrate or low-fat diet, while researchers measured changes in body composition and metabolic factors. This study used a randomized controlled trial design. Participants were assigned to either a low-carbohydrate or low-fat diet and completed a 10-week weight loss phase followed by a 4-week stabilization phase. Researchers measured fat mass changes, insulin sensitivity, and energy expenditure to determine how these factors influenced outcomes. So how does this relate to biochemistry? Well, as we know, as we intake carbohydrates, our blood glucose increases, and so does insulin release, which leads to fat storage, because insulin promotes glucose uptake, encourages energy storage, and inhibits fat breakdown. So, in a state of lower carbohydrate intake, those decreased carbohydrate levels will lead to decreased insulin stimulation, which will lead to increased fat oxidation and therefore fat loss. As you can see, insulin sensitivity influences how efficiently the body responds to insulin, which affects fat metabolism and energy balance. This biochemical mechanism was central to the study. The main finding for this study was that insulin sensitivity influenced how participants responded to the diets. Women with lower insulin sensitivity lost more fat on the low-carbohydrate diet compared with the low-fat. The graph to the left shows the comparisons between participants with low insulin sensitivity versus high insulin sensitivity on each diet and the changes in their body weight. In both groups, the participants on the low-carbohydrate diet saw a larger decrease in weight, but the low insulin sensitivity and the low-carbohydrate group had the largest change at around a 6.5 kilogram weight loss. These results suggest that metabolic characteristics may help determine which diet is most effective for an individual. When someone has lower insulin sensitivity, their body does not respond as effectively to insulin, which can affect how carbohydrates are processed. A lower carbohydrate diet reduces glucose intake and may decrease insulin demand, which could encourage the body to use stored fat for energy. This may help explain why individuals with lower insulin sensitivity experienced greater fat loss with carbohydrate restriction. The biggest thing I learned from this article is that successful weight loss involves more than simply choosing a diet. Individual biology plays an important role. First, insulin sensitivity may help predict which dietary approach works best. This showed me that nutrition recommendations may need to consider how someone's body responds to carbohydrates. Second, I learned that weight loss involves metabolic adaptations. The body can decrease energy expenditure during weight loss, so factors beyond calories alone can influence outcomes. Finally, this article reinforced the importance of personalized nutrition. Instead of recommending the same diet for everyone, dietitians should consider metabolic health, preferences, and long-term adherence. This study has important implications for dietitians. The main takeaway is that personalized nutrition may improve obesity treatment. For example, an individual with obesity and lower insulin sensitivity may potentially benefit from a balanced, lower carbohydrate approach if it fits their health goals and lifestyle. However, this does not mean low carbohydrate diets are best for everyone. The most effective plan should consider the patient's preferences, needs, and ability to maintain the changes long term. Overall, dietitians play an important role in creating individualized recommendations based on both research and the patient. This study had several strengths and limitations. Strengths included the randomized controlled design of the study, the controlled feeding and prepared meals for participants, the gold standard metabolic testing, and the fact that energy expenditure was measured after a period of weight stabilization. Some limitations included the small sample size, short intervention period of only 14 weeks, it only included African American women, and body composition was measured with BIA rather than the gold standard DEXA scan. In conclusion, this study shows that metabolic differences may influence how individuals respond to different diets. The findings suggest that individuals with lower insulin sensitivity may experience greater fat loss with a low carbohydrate diet compared with a low fat diet. Overall, this research supports moving toward a more personalized approach to nutrition rather than relying on one diet recommendation for everyone. Thank you.